Hello, I am making this video to start recording a vlog series recapping decisions with my Dominion 6 games. The reason I've decided to do this is because I was already taking exhaustive notes about games that I was playing in, and I'm hoping that this might be able to help new players understand not just the broad omniscience view of the Dominion 6 replays, but an individual turn decision-making perspective as you go into the late game. I have a game going with a friend of mine where we're 50 turns in, so I wanted to start this series to just start documenting how I go about my decision-making process. I have a turn that I've already resolved, and I've committed moves to, so that's the goal of this series. My hope is that I can start making quicker videos that just show like a single turn's individual progression and put it all together into a single playlist that I can then rewatch to see, as the game progressed, how those decisions panned out. So that's the first thing. So with that said, I'm going to go into an overview of the first 50 turns of this game, where I have a game going as Pyrene against a friend of mine who's playing Abyssia. We're playing with the Dominion's Enhanced mod, and I'll go through a first 50 turn recap quickly to kind of show you what that is, and then we'll get into the actual turn and orders that I have today. So for the first 50 turns, what essentially happened was we played with the center exclusion, and then I have been struggling to take a full cap circle. I was fortunate in that I was able to take an early war with Menchaca. I pinned them to their capital, and then I had a very long siege process. I had a decent expansion relative to the issues with my cap circle, which will come into play in a second. I did some testing around Acrobolt's transformation that did not work. I got up some castles at key positions, and then there's a lot of lanes and individual choke points, and I'm kind of holding two major choke points right now, and I've got a nice carve out in the corner of the map, so we're not playing with any east-west, north-south wrapping. That was kind of an intentional decision given it was such a small game. I've started to expand into water, and then I've been doing some remote site searching with Astral, Earth, Air, and Fire. So with that said, I'm sitting here in individual, this is turn 50. I've got quite a bit of research going. We've got some blood economy going in 3 different provinces. You can see, I've got some information about the other nations here. Before I get into the actual turn itself, we've got Pangea is an AI difficult player. We've got Ermor, all of them are difficult. We've got Ermor, I'm on Pyrene as Frylock, my friend is on Abyssia as Crocagator, and then Ind and Menchaca. And you can see I'm at war with Ind and Menchaca right here. Menchaca is down here. I had, as I said, pinned them to their single capital and then completely failed a siege and lost 30 sacred units, which was pretty backbreaking down here, so I'm paying the price for that now. I think that's pretty well recaps the overall history of the game. Abyssia spawned down here, and you can see they had a really bad go of it. They had to take their literal circle in the underground, so we had some issues in balance with the spawn of the map. You can see I spawned right here as Pyrene. I've only got 3 provinces around my cap circle, and then I've got this scout report. It says 320 units, but I've actually scouted it and pinged it to see. There's actually closer to 400, mostly Centaur warriors, and then Vine ogres. There's about 100 Vine ogres, and the rest is Horse Tribe cavalry. So a little bit of a scary province to take. I've been trying to set up to do that. With that, I'm going to kind of talk through my decision making lately. Oh, I guess I'll show you my pretender. Here's Frylock, the Baphomet. I've seen a couple variants of this go around. I wanted to try this because I really hadn't experimented with astral magic, so I took astral. I've done different ones with nature. or death, I can't remember. But yeah, this is what I've got. I've got a Fire Mage 5, Air Mage 5, Water Mage 4, Astral 5, and Blood 5. And he's moved around a little bit because he's teleporting and stuff. And it's kind of it was a big turn, so I guess the only other thing I would say is I just finished Construction 7. And with Construction 7 comes a bunch of important things. And since we're playing with the Dominion's Enhanced mod, I've been experimenting with all of the unique DE magic, and specifically this upcoming turn, I'm going to cast this spell here called Hold Akalar. Oops, let's pull that up. And what this does is it creates a Witch's Sabbath site that gives 10% blood bonus, allows casting of several spells for 1 month. So this is an interesting one because it costs 50 blood slaves just to cast it and hold Akalar. I'm assuming that's how you spell it. But the real reason that I am casting it is because I also have Blood 7, and at Blood 7 there is a new unique spell called Gathering of Storm Demons. In Gathering of Storm Demons, you can see it requires Blood 3, Air 2, which, if you know Pyrene at all, you know you're one short of reaching that with your Sorginas, so you need a way to increase that to Blood 3 to be able to cast this. I ended up crafting the Construction 7 Blood Booster, so I've got about 10 or 11 of those. And so I've got that many Sorginas that are going to be able to cast Gathering of Storm Demons next turn. This has to be cast at a Witch's Sabbath, so I basically have 1 turn window to cast this, which is next turn. So I've done all the prep work to do that. I in hindsight, realized that there is actually a better way to achieve that +1 blood gap. Which is through a spell called, not Blood Fecundity, what is it? The Blood Harvest. And you can see it's a Blood 5, Nature 5 spell, but now that I've hit Construction 7, I have access to pretty much any of the nature boosters I need to reach that path, and I got lucky with a couple of the Akalars, the Acker Belts, and I got the additional magic spawn on them. So in hindsight, I spent probably 150 to 200 blood slaves to craft a bunch of booster daggers. Whereas I could have just cast the spell for 100 blood slaves. I don't think that anyone would have dispelled this at this point in the game. Yeah, so I would have gotten +1 blood, chance of tax boost, some turmoil skills, which is kind of problematic, but the additional growth is really nice. So I may still end up casting this in a later date, but you know, this would have been the better path, I think, to achieve that +1 blood needed to cast the Storm Demons. So that being said, have the Akalar going. I think that pretty well wraps up that. I take pretty exhaustive notes on what I do on a turn-to-turn basis, so I wanted to kind of share that here and talk through some of those. I usually start my turn just ideating, like, what do I want to do? And then I go into like, okay, what are the actual decisions that I've locked in? And then I try to keep a running track record of like, what are the milestones that I'm hitting? What are some of the things that I missed on? And just be kind of honest about, whether or not it was a good decision or not. So, so much of this game is just, trying to calculate, trying to forecast and project out 5, 10, 20 turns down the road. And the further out you project, the harder it is to do it accurately. So, even with a degree of certainty, like I can't say for certain I'll cast X number of Gathering of Storm Demons next turn. My goal is to cast a minimum of 10, which is definitely within range. I think I'm going to be able to cast about 13. So that'd be my hope. That'd be a huge number of Storm Demons. an injection of 65, 70 Storm Demons would be, a really big help in winning a war. The only other thing I wanted to show is kind of the positioning here. I've got this territory right here, Jome, was really hard fought over. Ind had initially taken this area right here, and I really wanted Jome as a choke point to put up a castle, and you can see that this was a big win, getting that there. Ind is now being pushed back. And then more recently, Abyssia is pushed out of the cave network and started to take territory in kind of all directions. And this was actually kind of alarming, seeing how quickly he pushed up, because I expended so many troops just warring with Ind and attrition to a lot of their sacreds. They're still amassing here. I do think that I'm probably the easiest target for them, and I'm curious whether or not next turn they just take back Gentle Plains, or they just move all their units to Ador and try to defend Wold. Obviously, I would hope that they try to defend Wold, but I wouldn't be surprised if they take back Gentle Plains. I'm not going to fight them over it. Let's see what else. Down here, it's really interesting. This is sat as neutrals for the entire duration of the game, largely because most of my time in the south has been spent trying to finish off Machaca. And like I said, as you can see, that did not happen. What happened was I had marched, taken all of their provinces, including Behemoth's Rest, and I was sitting on Machaca with an army of 30 sacreds and a handful of crossbowmen and a handful of spearmen. And I thought I was going to steamroll them, and instead I rolled into Machaca, and they had summoned a bunch of magic units, and they had a bunch of mages sitting in Machaca for whatever godforsaken reason, and they just tar pitted all of my units right in the center of the castle, and I lost. I wiped pretty handedly. So after that happened, everything kind of cascaded poorly from there. They took back Behemoth's Rest. They got a fortress here, another temple here, another temple here, and they've got this army of militias, ants, vinemen, fall bears. So they kind of blew their entire gem economy to put together this like hodgepodge army. And so now I'm just sitting in Mireni. This isn't even a castle, it's still just a fortress. But overall, my infrastructure is really good. Every location I have is a castle. I'm at Blood 7. I could feasibly push to Blood 8 and start doing 3 red seconds, which is really beneficial. If I had 3 red seconds up, I'd probably be pushing harder down here. But my hope is that once I get these Storm Demons online here in the Sleepy Wold, this is going to allow me to kind of split those two fighting forces. One over here to just supplement these units, and then one down here to start pushing through here. It would also be really helpful to have some type of water breathing and or flying, so I can move back and forth natively, without going all the way around here with ground forces. This peninsula is really awkward. It's actually 3 distinct lanes, one here, and then one here. And these are some pretty nasty provinces that you don't want to push through without a decent force. A couple other things. I'm doing blood hunting in Omicria, Karomo, and Belfields. I've been blood hunting with 3 mages in this one, 4 here and 4 here. I'm currently producing about 60 to 7, probably like 60 on average a turn of blood slaves, which is pretty decent. I don't really have any other options for doing neutral recruit blood slaves for blood hunting. I guess I could probably do like 1 or 2 blood hunters in these provinces. Probably like 1 blood hunter in each of these provinces and have them, stay neutral. I've got really good growth scales, and I think that if I can sustain that, I could probably do that. But overall, I'm happy with my blood economy right now for turn 50. My research is currently 792. I think if I was fully researching, I would be around like 900 to 1,000. maybe I could break 1,000 if I was just, you know, all I was doing was researching, but that's not the case. The other thing I've been doing with my mages, I've been doing remote site searching, so you can see I got lucky up here at the last step. I found this, you know, this province had a Jade Pagoda, so it allows, first off, amazing site, right? Earth, astral, water, all very usable, and it includes the ability to recruit these mages. So I've been recruiting the Minister of Magic from last step, mostly because I've just been doing them as passive researchers. They also have this great mage too, which has a 100% chance to potentially get Glamour, which would allow me to break into Glamour, but I haven't been that compelled to do that yet. What else? Nothing else from the mage front. Magic items, I've got a bunch of boosters. I've been setting up for... I've got these two guys here. They're all kitted out with equipment to do Turbo Communion. So my goal is to have these guys be Turbo Communion slaves for the Sorkinas, and just have them be able to go super ham. Also, really exciting, I am forging a Staff of Storm next term. And actually, this is something I really wanted to do the last time I played Pyrene, but the game actually ended before I could get the air economy to put this together. Staff of Storms is incredible because it casts a start of battle spell, Storm. All of my units, specifically the Sorkinas, the Storm Demons, and then I just happen to have some Sylphs, have Storm power, and this unit is more powerful during storms, and they also have Storm immunity. So it's very beneficial to me to have Storm up on the battlefield. So I'm going to craft the Staff of Storms. I'm looking at magic that allows me to put up a global enchantment so that all battles are in storms, which would be really, you know, punitive to my opponent, most of my opponents, and help me. So, all right, let's see. Let's just finish going down. So a couple things. So, you know, I've already set up this turn for resolution. I'm going to pass the turn here in just a second, and but I'm going to go through a couple things. Yeah, so let's just go through observations on turn resolution. So Abyssia is my friend, and Abyssia is going to be pushing really well. I noticed their Bless is just kind of a generically strong Bless. They took regeneration, so their Sacreds are kind of a ridiculously hard to eliminate. They're not attritioning their Sacreds, that's what I'm trying to say. Let's see, if we look at their... Yeah, if we look at this one, they've got 107 Lava Warriors. We can look at the battle and see, you know, he's got his Prophet here. It's nice. Grand Communicant. So he's going to cast Divine Blessing, and once he casts that, we can click in and see. So they've got Morale +1, Poison Resistance +5, Defense Skill +1, HP +1, and Regen 10. So, you know, if we run this... rounded up. I think it's 10% of their total hit points. They've got like 17 or 18. So yeah, a little bit scary just because I have lost so many sacred units, and I am now squarely relying on my ability to sustain summoned units, whether that's summoned commanders or ritual spells or the storm demons. And so I'm glad I'm, getting a grip of Storm Demons. I guess my Bless, I think, let's see, what did I take for my Bless? So, oh yeah, my Bless, nope, that's him. I got Morale +1, 2 instances of attack skill, 2 of defense, 2 of strength, blood surge, and awareness. So just kind of like a generic neutral Bless. I didn't really take any anti-magic. Pyrene also already has built-in cold and fire res. And I was kind of banking on my ability to out-research anyone and potentially supplement with additional resistances when I was in game. But yeah, some people would probably say I should have taken like shock or fire. Shock resistance is a good one to take on Pyrene. But so let's see, Abyssia at war with Ind. Bless is now known. Abyssia Sacred's taking capital. Scary stuff. That's what stood out to me when I was looking at this turn. A couple of ideas I've been running through. I already talked about Blood Harvest. Oof, that's brutal. I already talked about Blood Harvest. Dominion's Enhanced has Hair Spell, like a special spell called Hair Spell, Traverse the Hair Spell. Which essentially allows people to teleport from point to point. And quickly I was thinking about quickly using it to reinforce lanes, but I don't know how it works, so I might just do it as an experiment and hope it helps. I don't think that you can take units through it, which is would be an incredibly powerful thing to be able to do. I think Astral gets that around like tier 7, so all my units, all my mages already have flying, which means they're insanely mobile. With the exception of the Akalar. So I do think it might be... I'm sorry, not Akalar, the Ackerbelts. So I do think it would be helpful to get up if I was planning to use it for the Ackerbelts, because then I could be transporting the Ackerbelts more quickly. But I could also just build flying boots or, something to give them more mobility. Perpetual Storm, we talked about that. I definitely would be interested in casting Perpetual Storm as a global enchantment. I'm so far the only person who has up a global enchantment. I forgot to mention I have Mother Oak. And then, let's see what else. Oh yeah, I was going to start mind hunting once... I was going to start mind hunting Abyssia, because I'm pretty sure my friend has no clue what that is. And I think he'll be very confused as to why his commanders are suddenly dying. So that might be fun. I don't think he has any knowledge of the effects of astral magic, so I certainly didn't. And I'm 500 hours into the game, so I knew it was a threat, but I never really knew how it worked. Let's see, cast Rain of Gemstones. I'm not sure if this is a Dominion's Enhanced only spell, but it was pretty cool. It's an enchantment 6 spell. It basically gives you a boost in gold and then a bunch of gems per turn, of all gems per turn. It's kind of an insane spell. Let me just pull it up. Enchantment 6. Enchantment 6. 5, 6. Yeah, Rain of Gemstones. Air 6, easy. We've already got an air booster, so this is definitely within target. Each month provides around 250 gold, 1 to 3 fire, 1 to 3 death, 1 to 3 nature, 1 to 6 water, 2 to 4 air, and 2 to 12 pearls. In 1 to 10 1 in 10 provinces will suffer. 1 in 10 provinces will suffer 15 unrest and 5% population killed. That's a pretty big drawback. 1 in 10 provinces. That means every single turn, at least 1, if not 2 or 3 of my provinces will have 5% of the population killed. But that is a crazy benefit to be able to get 12 astral pearls a turn. So I don't know. I might experiment with that. That seems nuts. but it also seems really detrimental, especially since I'm looking at casting Blood Vortex, which kind of does the same thing. It's going to be killing population around that province, which isn't great, but it's worth it. Let's see, what else? Rain of Gemstones, covered that. Oh, Primal Power to empower wolves when I take Cap Throne. This is actually going to go into the experiments that I'm running. Again, I'm not sure if this is a Dominion's Enhanced only spell, or if this is actually also in the base vanilla game. But I'm gonna actually forge, because I just hit construction 7, so I've been looking at all the things. I've got Tree Lord staff being forged already by another unit, but I'm actually gonna forge the Staff of Gaia. It costs 25 nature gems, and it just seems kind of cool. So it's got, the only reason I'm taking it is it has a start of battle effect, Primal Power. It's basically going to give Strength 4 to all animals on the battlefield. So, gonna test that out, see if I can put together some type of compositions with animals. I had already summoned these as patrol units, but I decided I was going to try to use wolves for taking the Cap Circle Throne. I don't know if I'm going to do this in the next 3 turns, the next 5 turns, probably pretty soon, but I definitely need a stronger front line, and my thought was, if I use the wolves, then they can just absorb the initial shock of the lances from the Centaur warriors. This is going to be a really nasty province to take, because whatever frontline units I put there, they're just going to get eaten up. So my hope is that I'm going to be able to use Howl. Let's see, Conjuration 5. Yeah, Conjuration 5 is next. I'm actually going to swap this out. We're going to do Blood Magic 8. Conjuration 5, Blood Magic 8. I don't know why I'm going for Alteration 6. Yeah, I have no idea why I was going for Alteration 6. I mean, I'm sure it's worth it, but... anyways, Conjuration 5, again, with the wolf theme, I was going to cast Howl. I was going to bring a bunch of units to bear here. My hope is that if I cast Howl, it'll just get them, really far out of position. It'll reduce the initial shock of getting just slammed into with 300 plus Centaur lances. And then, if I keep my Sacreds in the back line, they'll be able to come in over the top and clean up. So that's my goal, especially if I have, quite a few storm demons here. Shouldn't be too bad. I don't know. It's always scary. So yeah, that's the one of the other ideas I had. I'm going to test the Primal Power and to see if I can make it any good. Kind of the unknowns for me right now. I don't really know whether or not Abyssia is also at war with Ermor. For whatever reason, we actually have the score graphs. I should have probably shown this a while back, but you can see the score graph in terms of province gain. Maybe that's because I've seen the entire map at this point. I don't know why I can see this. But I am ahead in provinces, and then Ermor is in a close second. Ermor and Abyssia are in a close second. So you can see, I've taken these. I'm actually, going to drop down with Machakas, push up. So either way, Pangea is not out of it yet, and I know that Abyssia is going to be wrapping up a lot of units there. That being said, I think he has such a overwhelming force. He's not going to run into the same situation that I ran into. I think he's going to just run over Pangea. Whereas I am locked in a war with Ind and Machaka, and I don't really have the units to reinforce. So I'm kind of in a stalemate, with them right now, with nowhere to push without, going over water. So we'll see. Forts, Ermor is like way out in the front, and then Pyrene and Abyssia, we're currently tied right now, which is really interesting. Income, I actually expect this to jump wildly because I'm going to start making a an earth item that gives me 400 extra gold per turn. Let me actually see. Like down here, I'm currently crafting this orb of elements. Let's see, forge magic item. Yeah, so this orb of elemental earth is another earth booster. It gives an earth gem. Great. Can only be held by someone with 16. Acro belts have strength 16. Great. So once I have that, I will be at Earth 5 with the Acro belts. And after that, I will be crafting these. It requires Earth Magic level 5. It's 10 Earth a turn. That's nothing. So I will be crafting these on monthly ritual. Increasing my gold income by 400 per month will be incredible. I'm actually shocked that this is an item in the game. This has to be a Dominion's enhanced item. So yeah, we are going to shoot way up. I'm very excited about that one because, as you can tell, I am running out of gold. Recruiting Sorkinas is very expensive. Let's see. Yeah, we're eating a little, about a third of our total income. And my income's going to drop pretty substantially. I think next turn I'm going to lose Moreni, and I have nowhere to expand to. I have these like empty provinces, but yeah. Score graphs, income, gem income. My gem income is steadily going up. I've done a really good job of site searching. I found some really good sites. My blood eco is kind of holding steady. I thought this was interesting. This only shows when you deposit blood into the bank. So you can kind of see this is roughly what I'm coming in at. Research is kind of continues to grow. Well, Dominion's good. Army size for Ermor is massive. That's kind of hilarious. Abyssia is still growing, and I'm petering out. And this is very much the result of ongoing war with both Ind and Machaka. So, need to kind of get a handle on that. And then Ermor took a very early throne. I have absolutely no idea how they managed to do it that early, but they did. Let's see what else. Okay, so that's all the questions and variables. Okay, Diplo status of Abyssia and Ermor. I would love if Ermor started attacking Abyssia, because that would really give me the breathing room to close out the war with Machaka and then kind of focus. DE unique spells and effects. I'm just kind of confused about how some of these work, but we're going to roll with it. The Harris spell, again, just kind of confused about how that works. And then I'm just doing a little bit of research on the side about what my options are for animal summoning, what new Dominion's enhanced options exist for animal summoning, if I want to lean into that, like Animal Mage Primal Staff as a force option. I don't want to do that half-assed because animals by themselves are just really bad. So I want to make that as good as possible. If I'm gonna test that, then might as well go whole hog. All right, so big bets. These are the things. So this is the actual decisions that I made as part of this turn. I've already kind of covered a lot of this, but I've amassed all of these blood mages here. I brought them all here to do the Witch's Sabbath next month. So I'm going to be doing the Witch's Sabbath. I'm going to be summoning all of the Storm Demons. Yes, we're going for a big recruitment of Storm Demons next turn. I already talked about the Cap Circle. This is pretty gnarly. So I've just had to resign to not have, good recruitment in Pyrene. It's definitely set me back in a big way. But I think it more than made up for it in the positioning of my space on the map. I had plenty of space to expand north, and then I did a really good job of holding Machaka back and then taking the southern province area. I've just started to take the water tile, so you can see Blackgrave here. Got that. I've got a few more to reinforce, and then I'm going to go south to Velvet Ocean, Faraway Seas, Troll Seas. So I have a little bit more income to capitalize on there. We already got the Staff of Storms. Did I already talk about that one? That's the big one. Really excited about this. Yeah, Staff of Storms. I'm excited for that. I really want to see how that plays out. It's going to be a really scary force once I have Storm Demons, Sorginas, and just like a massive front line of like shield walls, just sitting there, letting the Sorginas just cast. So that'll be fun. Staff of Storms, we got that. Retreating, oh yeah. And then last but not least, big bets. I'm gonna just seed territory in the south until I can actually amass a good fighting unit. I have a decent number of units sitting in Pyrene. My hope is that they just expend a lot of time, you know, sitting on top of this capital. I've got, you know, some of these Castellans. Castellans are nice because they've got castle defense bonus, which will just help delay them. And then I'm just moving these guys back. I'm going to keep Urki here, just as the leader for, what, 74 of these guys. We've got additional crossbowmen. Just sit in that fort. Okay, experiments. I already talked about this a bit, but I did spend quite a bit of time around turn 30 converting Ackerbelts, or excuse me, transforming Ackerbelts to save on the gold cost for their upkeep. I wanted to try this out. I saw this on somebody's stream or somebody's recorded video. It's not even remotely worth it. Is the long and short of it. I asked about it in the Lucid Discord server. I asked whether or not other people had made it work. I did get this, Death Mage, Direwolf, fine. The cost was astronomical. I had multiple duds. I had, some mindless guys. One that was just completely borked. I still do have, where is he? Oh yeah, I still have this guy, the Foul Spawn, who's got battle wounds, and yeah, I don't know. I don't know whether or not there's a way to fix this guy with magic or items or something, but either way, the transformation was a total bust. Dominion's enhanced spell, Call of I have no idea. This is Conjuration. Construction. Yeah, this is Conjuration 4. I was just going to use this to supplement forces. Summoning Sylphs. Oh, yeah. I've got this site down here. That's how I have these Sylph units. I thought this was cool, and they're storm-powered. I've got storm immunity. This fits in well with what I'm trying to do. They're ethereal, which is crazy. Very hard to hit with non-magical weapons. The problem with that is all of my opponents are using magical attacks on their sacreds. So I don't know how useful these are going to be against my opponents, but maybe I'll try using them to take some of these neutral provinces. And yeah. Let's see. Forging Staff of Gaia. I already talked about that. I'm excited to set out. Is it Gaia? Is it Gaia like that? It's Gaia like that. Alright, next turn, summoning Storm Demons, getting this Vial of Blood, which is a temporary temp gem for blood magic, and then basically equip a bunch of gear. I've got Staff of Storm, Staff of Gaia, Tree Lord Staff. I basically am crafting a bunch of staffs. And then just to kind of close on, since this is an initial recap of where we're at in terms of turn 50, a couple of things that did work. I had a strong neutral bless that really helped me, thug through the expansion phase. Early victories against Machaca really helped me take territory in the south. I'm now giving up some of that, but I'm not too worried about it. It's definitely annoying, but I don't see them, being a significant threat. And then we've got Construction 7 that was completed on turn 50. That unlocks Staff of Storms, cheaper blood boosters. We made a bunch of blood boosters last turn. And then getting castles built, especially in the Jom choke point, was really beneficial. And now I'm looking down here, what can I do to win this war, close this out, and, push through this area right here. This is really what I'm looking at. This is both the biggest opportunity for expansion, but also really strategic area because I'm looking at taking that throne. I obviously will need to take that throne. And yeah, I'm hoping that Abyssia just gets too far out over their skis, and I know that they're at war with Pangaea. I know that they're at war with Ind. Pangaea still has far more resources than Machaka, so hopefully this Ind force, rather than taking Gentle Plains, decides to go for Wold, since they're threatening their actual territory. And then misses. I failed to take Machaka. The transformation on Acrobelts was a total bust. And I think there was probably, especially with Dominion's Enhanced, there's a lot of items that give you the ability to go into the water provinces earlier on, which I think is a really smart change. And so yeah, I just probably need to do a little bit more reading. It's hard to know like what changes Dominion's Enhanced gives you, because I might use something like the Mod Inspector to just look up vanilla units, which as you can see I've been doing quite extensively. So it is what it is. I could have gotten these water provinces much earlier, but I just didn't really make it a priority. And as you can see, most of my capital is tied up already, just in terms of ongoing recruitment. I don't even think we need to take that. Yeah, so recruiting on Sorginas and all of the neutral mages, all of the Pyrenian monks, and alternating between the monks and the Sorginas, or the monks and the Acrobelts, my income is pretty well eaten up. You can see I'm losing 797 gold per turn to the Sorginas currently, and then the Acrobelts are also expensive, but because I transformed so many of them, they're really not a substantial portion of my income. Crossbowmen are a close second. That's kind of it. I don't have any good... Yeah, I've got... That's it. That's turn 50. My goal is to make a video for each of the turns that I take, where I will kind of walk through the decision-making process of why I'm going through each of these. So moving forward, I hope that it'll be a lot shorter, whereas I just kind of talk through, you know, individual map movement. So that's it. If you're watching this, thanks for tuning in. Let me know if there's any specific questions about why I did stuff. And then if there's anything that you see that I was just wrong in terms of mechanics, like please correct me. Like the whole point of me doing this is so that both I have an opportunity to reflect on my gameplay, but I can also show newer players the thought process that kind of goes into planning out your turns, because I'm not playing for an individual turn at this point. I'm playing for the remaining 30 turns to close the game out. And so at this point, it's a pretty critical juncture, and I want this to be a learning resource for people to understand, you know, how you go through and decide, you know, what are you prioritizing, what are you, you know, foregoing, because there's always an opportunity cost for any decision you make. So cool. I hope this is helpful. All right.